grew up in a world where waiting was normal, where gratitude came easily because we didn't have everything. Our kids, they live in a world where everything is one click away. So, how do we raise grateful hearts in a culture of instant everything? How do we teach our kids contentment and gratitude when they have everything in their fingertips? That is the question for today.
You have a sister friend who you can talk to about your imperfections, vulnerabilities, uncensored truths, journeys, and victories. Welcome to the lounge.
So, welcome to the Sisters Let's Talk podcast lounge. Hi,
I'm
Fumi.
Fumi, and that's Lucia.
Hi, Lucia.
um, so why is this even an issue?
No game today.
No, we're going straight to it.
Uh, I'm so used to the game. What's the game for today?
The game for today.
Don't ask me what am I grateful for.
As a kid, do you remember one time you were whooped for not being grateful? Maybe
No,
you never got
actually,
whooped.
I
No.
was
What was
I
one
I
time
did a
you
few
had?
times, but I was a good kid.
Yeah.
I was always the one that was always giving and conscious about others. So I was always grateful.
I think that comes with the older child thing.
Yeah, that too.
I think that comes with it. But no, what is one time do you remember actually forgetting to be grateful or you know you could have done better?
As a kid, as a kid, wow. I should not have asked for that game.
Exactly.
As a kid.
Or now, as an
Yeah, because
adult.
my husband always says I never had a childhood as an adult. So the question is, what is that one thing
That you remember
that I remember
that you could have been grateful for, but you weren't.
that I could have been grateful for that I wasn't?
Or you thought
Oh,
about it after the fact. Like, I could have said thank you, or I could have showed more gratitude.
um, wow. Like I gotta think.
Like 50,000 things came to your head, or no?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think
Which one is appropriate for you too?
that is exactly. PG.
So,
Uh,
listeners, you see that we do all have moments that we should have been grateful. Like for me, just even yesterday, um, and I'm trying to do it more often. Like even for yesterday, like I went out with my mom and dad, and they got things for the kids and everything. And I feel I did say thank you, but then I come home like I could have said more, or I could have done something more. I don't know. They're not expecting it, right? They're not expecting me to go over and beyond. But it just me coming home and being aware that, I could have said something else or something more. Um, but it's one of those things. And even with my husband, I came home and he had done all these things. And it was later in the evening or later at night. I'm like, oh, thank you for pressure washing the house.
hmm.
Like something like that. So, yes, I
I
did it,
don't know,
but
man. I'm still
but
thinking. Because you know why? And it's
uh-huh.
not I have my other parts that. But this particular thing,
Mhm.
from a child, I've always always made it a point of
Mm-hmm.
being grateful to people and always appreciating.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, do you say it right away, or it's
Yeah,
sometimes after
I
the fact that you like, huh, I didn't say thank you, or I didn't say it right away.
know sometimes I will say thank you, but then I will s- say more after.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's something that has been ingrained in us. Like, we do say thank you, but for me, sometimes it's like just I
You
just
know
keep
what's the funny
going.
thing? A friend, um, maybe, okay, what did we celebrate recently? Oh, it was her birthday. So as a
Mm-hmm.
group, it's just the four of us in the group. And because we used to sing together, so we kept the group. Um, and she posted, like, we gave the birthday stuff. This was like a month later, and she sends this like this long gratitude. She's thankful for this, and this, like things that happened in the past,
Mm-hmm.
like, and how she's thankful that this person helped that, and when she was with her kids or they watch her kids, like she had a whole, it was like a page full.
Oh
So we
wow.
all opened it and we're like, texting side, PVing on the side, like, is she okay? Is she okay? Is she sure she's okay? And I said to him, like, hi, how are you? You know, you okay? Because, but this is, I guess, this is exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying, right? It's not that she never said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
we know that she
yeah,
was always grateful. We were
yeah.
doing it together as a team.
Mm,
But the fact that she took the time, she's like, you know what, I was just sitting down and thinking and being grateful. And she took the time and wrote about all these things that she was grateful for,
mm.
which was kind of nice. But I guess
It's
if
not
you,
a normal thing.
it's not
It's
a normal
like,
thing.
I think it's one of those things that it feels a little bit too much, right?
Yeah, like you're
When you
being
think,
too
yeah, yeah,
emotional
too
sometimes,
emotional.
or not necessarily just too emotional, but is it actually real? Is that how you really feel, or are you just buttering it up?
Because we've made it not to be a norm. Like, when you're overly expressive of what you really
Hmm.
want, then it's not a norm. But then, coming to a question, why do we expect our kids to show gratitude when we do something for them, or when we know they encountered something that they should be grateful for, especially those things that we sacrificed a lot to give to them? Why should they be grateful? What's the point?
Isn't it what you parents say that I brought you in this world? I can take you out of this world. That means
No,
I own you. You
no,
are mine.
we don't say that. The other parents say that.
Oh yeah, the other generation said that. But it comes back down to it trickles in different ways. Do we just people just say it differently?
Mm.
There's expectations, right?
It is, but I think it has a long term goal, and we're seeing it now in this our generation as well. When kids don't learn to gratitude, they often grow up into adults that struggle to find joy in life because nothing ever feels like enough.
Mm-hmm. Or that feel they may not be necessarily wanting to stay at a job because, they have to be treated a certain way, and if not, boom, I'm done. Bye.
Well, yeah, because they expect rewards or
Mm-hmm.
recognition without effort. So they expect, if they if they actually do say thank you, it should be like
It should
top
come
of
with
it
something.
should come with something
Like
like
thank you is attached to reward, right?
correct.
Or giving
Uh-huh.
is attached to a reward.
Yep,
You're
I'm
not
sure have
just giving
something
and
for
that's
it.
it. It should have something for it, which
Yeah.
I guess that's the term or the phrase entitlement.
Correct. And then it also we see adults that have difficulty forming deep relationships because they focus on what they can get rather than what they can give. We see that in marriages all the
Mm-hmm.
time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what's in that for me? What
Right,
is it?
right,
What do I
right.
get? It's giving. You
Exactly.
don't give out of like, okay, I gave you just because I wanted to, just because we don't we see adults that just can't do that. Like, it, what is it for me? What do I get from this? Right?
There's that self, and I guess it's everything is sometimes a learned behavior.
Mhm.
Um, and I would term it's a self-absorbed or self-absorption thing
Mhm.
where it's good to self-reflect, it's good to be introspective, but I think they've gone a little overboard
Mm.
where they are way too introspective or way too self-reflective, which comes back to the self.
Mm.
It's all about, as you're saying,
Yep.
what's in it for me? So
Yep.
it's all about me. What do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Right?
And
Not,
it also helps them lose resilience, which is
mm-hmm.
one thing I think our generation was really that has really helped us. That resilience of keep going. Well, everything has its pros and cons. But when things don't go their way, it's they quit. I'm done, or they complain without persevering. So, like, everything is turned against you, right? Rather than, okay, I'm grateful for what I have right now. So, like, a friend was talking about stuff was going on at work and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and she has been pursuing, like, advocating for herself, and then she got to a point that, you know what, I'm done. I'm glad I have a job. I'm glad I still have a paycheck that's coming in. I'm just gonna thank God for what I have right now. I'm done. I'm done with the fighting. I'm done. Was she wrong with what she was advocating for? No. Um, but at the end, the result that came, it was something that she didn't even have to fight for. Like, that one, you knew that God eventually fought everything with the results that she ended up having. But
But she
she
had put in some effort. She did
she had
something.
she had put in some effort, and then she got to that point that says, I've done my part. I'm grateful for what I have now, right? And then just sit back and enjoy what you have now, this moment. What is it I am grateful for?
I mean, I get it, but to be honest, in all fairness to them, to the kids now, to the
Mm-hmm.
generation, I would say the younger Gen Zs and then the Gen Xs and the younger millennials and the Gen Zs
But
is,
even our generation, there are
or
people that,
even our
yeah.
generation, because again, we had this conversation when we spoke with Bimpe, when we
Mm-hmm.
had that conversation about how things move fast
Mm-hmm.
and how we all to be having to be grateful as adults.
Mm-hmm.
But the adults have created this atmosphere, one. But
Mm-hmm.
secondly, in all fairness to the kids, things are moving fast. Whether you like it or don't like it, things are moving fast. You have to move with it.
That's true, but that doesn't mean that you just let them go by without experiencing these micro moments, which I think is one of the things that this fastness of life is robbing us of.
Well, yes, so there's the pros and cons for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Because you can't in terms of for example, the resilience,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to. It even happens when our parents used to say, when I was going to school, I had one shoe, I didn't even have a shoe. I had to walk bare feet. I had just one shoe to go to church and
Mm-hmm.
walk bare feet. And be like, oh, okay. But I had shoes to go to school. But then when you talk to someone generation behind me and more, they have multiple,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the same time, what we used to spend for that one shoe, they
Mm-hmm.
probably, well, in all, we have to keep it to where it makes sense, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can still spend way more. But if you
Yes.
think about it, they spend less but are able to get more, right? Or the fact that we had to move or
Mm-hmm.
relocate, it brings in an atmosphere or a situation where you have to work for something, you have to fight, you are, whether you like it or not, that resiliency comes in
Yeah.
because you have uh, to make ends meet alone
Mm.
builds a resilience whether you like it or not, whether you're looking for it or not.
That's true. That's very
Whereas
true.
they they don't have to do some of these things, right? And it's a
Well,
good thing because you guys have made it easier.
but easy doesn't mean they actually learn the lessons when they need to be resilient.
And this
Because
is true.
in every aspect of life, the resiliency meter might not be the same as we had to, but they still need to learn that art of having resilience in getting the things you want. Because like on a greater scale, if they don't learn those skills, it's not just like just your little family that suffers from it. Like it's the culture, like the
Yeah,
whole
it's
society that
society.
suffers from it, because then you get you we have this whole bunch of generation of people, ungrateful people
Anxious
that are
kids.
walking around entitled, impatient, and self-centered,
Hmm.
and it
And
weakens the
nothing will
community.
satisfy that.
Yeah, it weakens that community because gratitude actually feels generosity. It makes you want to give to that next person that actually needs a little bit more, right? It also helps you serve other people. um it also helps you be in a community. It makes you value community. It's not just me. It makes you value community. And so teaching gratitude is not just talking about it. Teaching gratitude and practicing it is really, it's really good for all. It's
But it's
really
just
good
true.
for all of us.
I think
um
gratitude also allows that individual for you to feel gratification or to feel grateful, rather, grateful is the
mhm.
word. I think it brings you to a place where you realize, or as you develop it over and over, you have
Mhm.
that pattern. It
Yeah.
brings you to a place of recognizing, again, one, yes, you're not by yourself.
Mhm.
You need others, but
Mhm.
also I think that innate sense of you are, you came from somewhere,
Mm.
that source, there's a source, and that source is bigger, greater, and able to do even more.
Reminds me of Jesus's prayer in John 17 when he was praying for his disciples. Like you hear him saying, Father, I thank you that you've given me all of these, like all the disciples, and I haven't lost any, um, except for Judas, which in my belief, I feel like if Judas had just said, Father, I'm sorry, he would have been
He would
forgiven.
have, yeah,
But
yeah, right
so
on the spot.
yeah. So for me, I feel like it's from that place. Like Jesus knew what he was going to go through. He knew every bit about what that was, but he was also grateful. Like he took that moment to be grateful for these disciples, for these people, even for us
Hmm.
down the road that is going to benefit from what these people are going to go through, because he knew they were going to suffer, right, for the gospel's sake. But he was still grateful for them, for that moment, for the present, for the future, for all of us that will benefit from what they have learned from him, being with him. So I think gratitude also grounds us in what we have, what
Mm-hmm.
we've had, what we have, and where we're going.
And where we're going.
Yeah, I, 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 it, it is a beautiful thing. So we know we need to be grateful, right? So
Right.
how are we know we want our kids to be grateful, which is the point of this question, right? How do we raise these grateful kids in this culture where everything is instant? They have everything at their fingertips.